some annotation. Oh, recording has started.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay!
Um, calendar. I'm just super confused. Okay, so you guys don't see the Facebook thing, right? No.
Oh, yeah, definitely can do that.
Let's see if I can share it on my timeline. Okay, so it's working on my timeline. It's just not working on the Yaw page, which is sad, but okay.
Mm.
Wait, are we
But
live?
yeah, I've only been on Facebook for about 4 or 5 months now, Kyrie.
Oh yeah, so same. I've been at Apple five
Nice,
months.
nice,
Did you
nice.
move from the
Okay,
East
we're
Coast or you
live,
live in?
y'all.
Oh,
Yep. Oh,
Lit, lit, lit. He said,
yeah.
"Oh." No, you can't act like you was acting for week. Okay, so let's. Hello, G Day.
Hi, hi everybody.
Hey,
hey.
everybody. So I am so super excited for this Career Booster webinar series. A lot of these people on this panel today are my really good friends that I've known for a long time, and I'm so excited for them to share their story, give you guys advice, help you guys, and just really help you to become the best you, because that's what this is all about. They are definitely open and very willing to definitely talk to you after this. Send any questions you may have in while we are live streaming. And yeah, so I'm very excited. So we are going to start with everyone giving a pretty thorough background into your life, into your experiences, what led you up to where you're working, and then we'll start with the questions. So can we go first? Kyrie?
Yeah, okay. I can go first. So I just graduated in May 2018 with a bachelor's degree in computer science. I went to school at Delaware State University. Throughout my time there, I did 3 research internships. My last one was last summer here in California at Stanford, doing some human-computer interaction work, and when there are labs there. And then I went back to finish my last year of college, and I was just applying to, software positions because I wanted to move to California after coming out that summer. Essentially, just building up my network while I was out here, and then actually got the opportunity to work at Apple right now for full time. I've been there for 5 months, and I've been learning since the first day. Yeah.
Great. G Day.
Awesome. So, hi everybody. My name is Gideon Mackham. I'm a master's student here at Brown University studying computer science. This past May, I was lucky enough to finish my bachelor's in computer science as well. And throughout my time in undergrad for the past 4 years, I've gotten the chance to intern at a number of uh, social media companies. My favorite one that I was at is the one that Ikechi's at now, right? Twitter. Uh, Really cool company. And so currently right now I'm deciding between whether to go full time at Microsoft, Square, or Eventbrite. Really weighing those options out now. And what really led me up to these internships, I think, is just programs like this, right? I was involved in something called Code 2040, a program called Management Leadership for Tomorrow, Jumpstart, my school here on campus, like National Society of Black Engineers. These programs have been integral in helping me get where I'm at today, and so I feel like there's no other greater thing I can do than giving back by doing things like this and being a part of webinars and sharing my experiences and being able to help where I can.
Thank you, Malik.
Hey everybody, my name is Malik. Originally from Senegal. I grew up in the DC area, and my journey is a little bit different. So something that caught my eye from a young age was entrepreneurship. I was selling popcorn in the back of the class, and when it came time for high school, we weren't selling popcorn anymore. We moved to selling sneakers. And my passion for sneakers and fashion actually led me to be very active in the blogging space. So I built a background in photography, design, and I was creating content for a while until one day I realized an opportunity when I saw a spike in engagement in regards to something that I posted. And from there, I actually realized an opportunity to start a business. So I started my own clothing line at the age of 16 by the name of Tribal Customs. And that was probably my most formative experience because it got me exposed to technology, marketing, understanding users, figuring out how to engage. And over the course of 2 years and 8 months, scaled the company from zero to about 140K in sales. Um, Ultimately decided not to continue with the company because just running a fashion business comes with a lot of risks that I hadn't planned for. But in that moment, I realized that I was really passionate about understanding people and figuring out how can you create and articulate value. So from that, I went to Howard University where I studied computer information systems and recently graduated this May. Throughout my time at Howard, I was able to get involved in a number of different internship programs. I was very involved on campus as well. So I had a chance to work for Accenture doing management consulting. I got a chance to work for Morgan Stanley doing wealth management. I also did a national product marketing competition with L'Oreal over the course of 6 months. And then just like Jude and Diana, I also got a chance to be in a part of a number of pre-professional programs that really prepared me for the opportunity that I'm at today. So that includes Inroads, Management Leadership for Tomorrow, SEO, and then I kind of combined all those experiences to now be at Facebook as an associate product marketing manager, where my role is to essentially be the voice of the customer as we're thinking about developing new features and figuring out how to make sure people are engaged. So I'm really passionate about service and sharing everything that I've learned. So really looking forward to being a valuable contributor in this webinar.
Thank you so much. Ikechi?
Muted.
Oh, I'm muted?
No.
No, he's muted.
Oh.
Akechi, we can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't. It doesn't say you're muted.
Do you have like
Somebody should call him. Just let him talk to the.
Is it better?
Oh,
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Wow. So my headphones don't work. All right. So I'm Ikechi. I was born and raised in Nigeria. Moved out here for college at 19. Um, well, the whole passion for tech and all that started like from a very young age. Initially, what fascinated me really was like airplanes. I was just fascinated by how these really large things discovered. Um, and then over time, studying more about airplanes, I got to realize that the thing that actually made me like really, really psyched about them, like were the avionics, and the controls and how this computer is basically flew this thing. An airplane is basically a very big flying computer, really. So I got into like a lot of automation stuff, and that led me obviously into programming and all that. So I moved out here at 19. The path wasn't too smooth and all that, but I did a few transfers from here to here, here to there. I ended up at Syracuse University, where I graduated last year. I was supposedly doing, a bachelor's and a master's program, but after my bachelor's program, I sort of dropped out because, yeah, I was like, there's no point doing a master's degree. Like, what? Um, I had a few internships during college, Samsung, Intel, Google, and eventually ended up here at Twitter full time. Um, um, how I got to Twitter really, I mean, most of my internships and stuff, I got through like just applying, getting interviewed and going to them really. I mean, there were a lot of resources out there like NSB and all that. I didn't quite take advantage of them, so my perspective might be a bit different from a few people who's here. So like if you're looking for like how to use those communities to like leverage, your way into going into tech, that's great. I have a different perspective too. So you can just combine two of them to make things even better for you. So yeah, yeah.
Thank you. So we're going to start off with the recruitment process. You
Mm,
all are very different and you have different perspectives and also different ways that you take initiative. Some did research, some were in, accelerator programs like SEO and MLT. So can you guys come back with me? So when you were like, I need a job, I'm about to graduate, and I want to work at a large tech firm, what were some of the thoughts going through your mind? How did you plan and figure out how to get in contact with these firms? Did you go to the HR recruiters? Did you go on LinkedIn and finesse your way through? Did you go to a lot of career services events and things of that nature? Give us the advice for someone who is a senior or a sophomore, and they're looking to get into a company, but they just don't know how to start. And so I will let Malik go first on this one because I think I know his story,
Mhm.
and I think it'll be very interesting.
Cool. So the question is for somebody who's a sophomore or a senior, what advice can we give them based off of like how we went about navigating the recruiting process?
Absolutely, to anyone, whether you're a sophomore, senior, graduate.
Yeah, I think that there's a few things that I did. So my journey to Facebook was a little bit unique. I think that before we even get into what made the difference, there are certain things that are fundamental, right? So when you're going after these companies that are really and truly the top and most prestigious companies in the world, I feel like there are certain baselines that you have to meet. I think one is education. So regardless of what school you go to, I think you have to make it a priority to excel academically, or in whatever else that you do. So I think that for me, it was realizing, hey, my grades weren't the best. So I had, I think, a 3.0 coming out of my freshman year or 3.1. And I realized that that was okay, but it wasn't enough to really cut it. So I had to step my game up in that regard. So that meant for me just spending a lot of time studying and making sure that I was on top of my classes. And then outside of that, looking for opportunities to lead. So for people who don't necessarily know what they want to do, my recommendation is to try as many things out as possible. And then through the process of elimination and the process of experiencing these new things, you'll realize what you like and what you don't like, and then you'll be able to narrow down more from there. So for me, that was being like the vice president of student council in the School of Business, helping launch the consulting club and scaling that to 200 members. So offering, teaching people how to do interviews and offering professional development help and sharing the resources that I had. And also being involved in like mentorship programs where I was helping out other freshmen. So that showed the companies that I was working on that, hey, I was doing well in school, but I went a little bit beyond that to expand my skill set and find new ways to showcase that I know the things that I'm claiming on my resume, right? If you want to get a job as a product marketing manager, you kind of have to show your experiences. So once I did that, it was just a matter of just like building up a resume towards the goal that I wanted. So I kind of already knew I loved marketing and I loved the process of like understanding people and stuff like that. So all of my experiences kind of had that lens. So even when I was doing consulting was really about just understanding how to solve problems, right? And then when I was doing wealth management, yeah, it's slightly different, but I worked in a function where I was doing product marketing for wealth management. So I was able to kind of stack up this resume of relevant experiences, but they were still diverse. So
Mhm.
I think that that's something that helped make me unique, right? I showed that I'm capable, but then I had a little something extra that kind of changed my perspective a little bit. And then when it came to actually getting at Facebook, once I had a decent foundation, um, I think that you have to narrow down not just I want to work for this company, but you need to know exactly what position do you want to be in that company, right? Like, so I knew I wanted to be a product marketer. So my goal was to figure out one, how can I learn as much as possible about Facebook? So I spent all my time reading their blog. I looked up every single interview. I watched podcasts, like everything under the sun related to Facebook. I was just immersing myself constantly. And then everything related to product marketing. So I was watching a ton of videos. I actually read a ton of books that literally go through what product marketing is, how to do it effectively. I also spent a lot of time on Glassdoor, like actually reading through the reviews of people who went through the interview process already so that they can kind of give me more context on that. And then from there, I tried to reach out to different people who worked in the company and who worked in the capacities that I wanted to see if they could give me any valuable insight. So that was really helpful. And one thing that I recommend to people is to leverage the tools that are available to you. So you may not know anybody who works at Facebook, but you have access to LinkedIn, right? So a really simple hack is just to go to LinkedIn and type in the company that you wanna work for, or maybe the position that you want to look for. And then I always go to the left-hand panel and filter it by people who went to my alma mater, right? So people who went to Howard University who also work at Google, or people who went to Howard University who also work at Facebook. And then I would just email them saying, hey, I'm a young student looking for guidance. Any time that you have would be appreciated, whether it's like a tip via email or we get on a phone call like this. So that was something that was really helpful because I had all the information online, and then I was able to cross-reference that with people who were actually in the jobs that I wanted at the companies I wanted to be at, and they gave me additional clarity and context, right? So all of that really was just to say, like, I immersed myself and completely committed to going after this one thing. And whatever, even if you don't know what you want, you have to select that thing that you want to go after and devote your energy to it, and then go after it. And so what happened to me was that in the process of like calling up every single person who worked at Facebook, I mean, all the way, I started prepping for the interview maybe 6 months before they even started recruiting. Like I didn't even know when they were going to drop the applications, but I was just like, I'm going to start preparing for the interview now because I know how competitive the program is. I mean, out of thousands of applicants, they only selected like 6 or 7 people. So I said, I want to just minimize the opportunity for risk, right? So there's so many, when you're competing against the best of the best, people try to cut you out for like little things. So I tried to minimize that. And so just starting the process earlier and knowing everything that I could was really helpful. And then actually Facebook ended up coming to my university, to Howard, randomly for the specific position that I was looking for, like specifically for product marketing management. Like maybe 3 months into my prep, I found out they were going to be doing it earlier. And so that was like something that was like, it can only be God, right? So it was a huge blessing for me. So I was at that point though, when the opportunity came up, I'd already spent 3 months getting prepared, right? So when I walked into the career event, I already knew what the job was about. I knew what the challenges were, and I was ready to engage and really make myself known. So that's the first thing that I did. And then secondly, I always like my secret career strategy is to add a little sprinkles, right? Add a little something extra into the package. So instead of just being the guy who's going to come up there and give them your resume and your cover letter and say, hey, my name is Malik, hire me, what I decided to do was actually say, I'm going to take all of my experiences and why I think I should be hired by Facebook, and I redesigned like the web page of Facebook in Photoshop. So literally took a screenshot of the Facebook website and redesigned it in Photoshop. And then on the left-hand panel, I put like a resume of my past experiences. And then as my most recent status post, I put actually a little cover letter and a picture of myself. So I went the extra mile. And so when I came to the event, I was well informed, I was educated, I was ready to engage, I was saying the things that were actually on the slides before the slides came up. So they knew that I was serious and that I was committed. And then to cap things off, I actually gave them that Photoshop mock-up that was like, wow, this guy is leveraging the kind of skill set and the scrappiness that we're actually going to need in this role as a product marketer. And that's something that helped me stand out. So once I did that, I made an ally in the people who came to the event. They said, hey, we want to give this guy a chance. And so they helped me prepare for the interview. They got me the interview. And by the time I got the interview, like from that point, even though I was nervous and there was like, some things that I couldn't control, I really just made sure to do everything that I could to prepare. So I did mock interviews with all my friends. I recorded myself. I went into the mirror and practiced. Like, I mean, I practiced until I could say my story forward and backwards. I created different versions. I went to everybody to get as much feedback as possible. Um, and then when I got to the interview, what differentiated me is that all those times that I spent preparing, it showed up. They could tell, like, by how passionate I was and how committed I was and all the effort I put into it, that this was something that was serious to me and that I actually had the skill set to do the job, right? So just kind of to wrap that up, because I know that was kind of long-winded. Like, the first thing is to know what company are you going after specifically, or what set of companies, what specific job are you going to go after within that company, right? And then you know everything. You try to learn as much about the company, as much about the job, and then when you have that job you want, try to figure out how you can match your experiences to that. And if you don't have any experiences yet, start looking out new things to add on to your resume that are going to make you qualified for the position that you want. And then always try to find something extra to add in that can kind of differentiate you. And then once you have that, it's just a matter of, in my opinion, being the one who's willing to work the hardest and to go the extra mile. Because you guys have to realize this is a global competitive landscape, right? Like, Diana's from New Jersey. We have people from the East Coast. Ikechi's from Nigeria. You're going after the best of the best across the world. So the way you're going to differentiate yourself is by owning what makes you unique and being able to put the most work in.
Yeah, and thank you so much for that. I think that is so amazing and so descriptive as to the initiative that I try to teach every person that I know and all of my mentees, because this is a global landscape. Facebook does not have to hire you. Google does not have to hire you. Apple does not have to hire you. Twitter does not have to hire you. Square does not have to hire you. You have to be the one to show them why you are going to bring value to their company. So the next question is for what we call the intern king. G-Day was able to intern at, I think, 4 tech companies within a year or 6 months or something crazy like that. And so I want to get into his head a little bit and ask him, how were you able to, one, create opportunity where there really usually isn't? Internships are in the summer. Everyone goes to their internship in the summer. G-Day had internships in the spring, had another one right before the summer, had one in the summer. So we want to know, what is the mindset behind that? How do you
Yep.
create opportunities when sometimes
Yeah,
there's none? And
yeah.
then also, how do you market yourself to every single company? Because it's not the same when you pull up to Facebook, when you pull up to Apple, when you pull up to Microsoft. Let us know.
So I think the number one thing that I do is that I never settle. Even when I won, I don't think I won. Um, and so my first internship I had was actually face no, my first internship was Facebook, doing marketing for Facebook University for Business, and I was so elated. Like, I didn't have to work as hard as Malik to get it. Like, it was very behavioral interview. Like, he's interviewed for full time. They interviewed me as a year 2 person. Um, but like, yeah, I got that, and many of my peers, once they got there, they were happy. You know, they continued, and there's no shame in that. That was your goal, and that's what they kept doing. But for me, it was like, I don't. I want it all. Like, even when I just wanted it all. And so, when I was at Twitter, so I was at Facebook doing marketing, and I just realized but the difficulties of my marketing just wasn't enough for me to stay. I realized I was passionate about engineering, so I was like, okay, as much as Facebook is probably the greatest company on the planet right now, just in
I
terms
don't disagree.
and like, I mean, in terms of its brand, that F speaks volumes.
I'm just
Even
kidding.
if people don't like it or they like it, that F, that little F, that lowercase F, you know what they're talking about. They're not talking about firefighters. They're not talking about football. They're not talking about flame. They're talking about Facebook. 22% of the world is on Facebook. I don't care how you put it. If older people like it, don't like it, people are using it. And so,
Mhm.
but just to stay on track, I ended up going to Twitter, and what really changed the whole energy was that I think Ralph Waldo Emerson said it best: people only see what they're prepared to see. And my first day, and the thing is that these tech companies are so open. The CEOs are walking around like they're some regular person. They're not like, in some big office or something like that. And so my second day of my internship at Twitter was my first engineering internship. Jack Dorsey just walked up to me and three interns and said, "Hey," and I was like, "Oh, you're a regular person. You breathe like me. You have
Yep.
blood. I was like, you know what? If he can do it, there's no reason. Like, the famous thing most African mom says, do they have two heads? No. Do they have 25 hours in a day? No. Do they breathe? Do they breathe a different kind of air? No. Okay.
Yep.
Then I want what they got, right? The thing is, we stretch for some goal, we get it, and then we get to the top of the ladder, and then we look down. And you either have two types of people: somebody who looks down and says, "Okay, I'm going to pull these people up with me," or somebody who looks down and says, "Look at these people." So I was like not even looking down for some reason, like I should, and helping people as much as I should. I was looking up. I'm like, all right, what else is there? Oh, that's Jack Dorsey. Okay, that's where I got to get to. Ironically, Jack Dorsey also runs Square, which is why, yeah.
Yeah.
So the relationships matter, right? It goes into relationships, and that's how like relationships and just seeing that, okay, like I can do what they can do, and that sort of energy just prompted me to continue going. So that's where, and with my mindset, in terms of specifically like how I went about it, uh, literally since I was it, like year two of school. I've been having phone calls with Malik when I was year two, listening to his elevator. The same, I was one of those people he would call and give the whole elevator pitch to, and he would tell
Yep.
me the whole master plan, and I'm like, this guy's actually planning. I think Benjamin Franklin said it. I know these cliche things are too much, but Benjamin Franklin said it best. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail, right?
Mhm.
And I see Malik planning, and I'm like, wait, all in order to look up and get where I got to, I just have to plan. Like you can't just it's not just gonna come. You have to watch webinars like this. You have to follow up with people like us. Like you have to plan. Otherwise, you can't just apply and it will just come, right? So even though I kept applying, I was planning. I already knew after Twitter I was going to get Snapchat and into it. Like I told myself, how did I get it? Well, I knew Snapchat only offered summer internships. I still applied. And then once I got it, I said, hey, actually, I can't really do it in the summer. Can you put it at this time? Who will tell you no once you show them you have the goods? Who?
Mhm.
They already, the money that it takes to recruit you is so much. That's why we have programs like this. Like the money that the companies are putting in to recruit you,
Mhm.
we're helping them and helping you mutually because they want people like us. They want us, but we have to prove to them that we can do the work, right? And I think for me it was just that like I kept planning and like even now like I don't plan 10 years from now. I'm not that good at that. I'm sorry. I plan what the next 2 years are gonna be. Every 2 year increments in my life today I know what 20 I guess I planned in 2018 for 2020. So I guess just planning. I guess planning is the too long don't read. I just
Mhm.
plan a lot and I follow these sort of steps that going on LinkedIn, and then and as I'm planning, I'm like, okay, I have this plan, but who's gonna help me execute?
Mm.
All these programs here and there, all these people, all these peers, and then with anything in life, if you plan, something good will come out of it. Not like nothing is gonna come. You have to get something. So I think that's too long don't read is really just planning and always trying to get more even when I've reached a goal. Like it's a
And I think
goal now for the fact that whoever's watching this.
Mhm.
But what are you gonna do after you watch this?
Mhm.
Are you going to sit down and wait for the next webinar? Are you gonna reach out to people? Are you gonna follow that? Are you gonna go back and rewind and watch what Malik said about LinkedIn and just follow that?
Yep.
You know, it goes back to how much do you want it, right? Like, yeah. No, I want to move away from the cliches and stuff, but I usually follow all these cliches to just live my life because it's easiest. And the Bible. Either the Bible's not cliche, but it is because everybody uses it. But yeah.
And so, thank you so much for that answer because it's really about preparation, planning. Of course, life may take pivots, but if you have a plan and you have resources and you know strategies to get you there, you're more likely to be successful than the next person who didn't plan, right? A goal without a plan is just a wish, as my mentor said. So, Kyrie, now I want
Hey,
you
Diana,
to
can I
tell
just
us.
piggyback real quick?
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to piggyback real quick and zero in on something really unique that both Jide and I did, and that's never giving up, right? It's one thing to work hard, build a foundation, set a goal, have a plan, work the plan, but then what happens when the plan doesn't work? An important thing, right? Right? So what happens when the plan doesn't work? So just to give you a little bit of context, right? Like I had my own business. I made over $100,000. I thought I was a cool kid, right? I was a fashion designer. But then I went to go look for internships. I didn't have good grades, and I got rejected by almost every single company that I applied to, including Facebook. Actually, my sophomore year, I got rejected by Facebook. I still probably have the email. But then, so I was working so hard to see, can I get an internship? Can I get an internship? Can I get an internship? And that was when I actually got a job working for Accenture. So going through the recruiting process, I tried my best to prepare, but to be honest, my case interview skills weren't very good. And so even though I went through the recruiting process, they liked my personality. And the last round of the interview, they said they didn't want to go with me. They found some people who were better. So I worked so hard all summer. I spent all fall working hard. I went to every single career event on campus. And then in December, the only internship that was decent that would give me an interview, because my grades weren't that good, rejected me, right? Now, a lot of people would take that and just give up, go cry, boo hoo, my life sucks. But what did I do? I knew that I messed up on the case interview, and I said, hey, I understand that you guys don't think that you should hire me, but can you give me some feedback on why, what I can do to improve and the different things that you like, different things that I can do to better improve my odds next time? Because that's something when I got rejected in the past, I asked that question again, and I said, and the guy told me you didn't follow up enough, and just like asking for feedback always helps. Like anytime I would get rejected, I would always ask them, what can I do to get better next time? So every rejection was kind of like a learning lesson. And so with Accenture, though, they didn't tell me what I didn't do well, because companies have like HR policies that they don't want to necessarily tell you what you could have done better sometimes, because it just presents a risk for them. So I actually just took some time. I said, okay, Malik, what are the 3 or 4 things that you could have improved in this interview process that could have got you the job? And I listed those things out. And then I literally went point by point. Okay, you don't have good grades. So I said, okay, well, I have a 3.1 now, but what you don't know is by the end of this semester, I'm going to have a 3.8, and my cumulative GPA in one semester is about to go from a 3.1 to a 3.4. And I told them which classes I was taking. And then I said, okay, well, I don't have enough relevant experience in consulting. So and I was kind of new in my business program. So I said, okay, well, I took these free online classes on corporate finance and business strategy on Coursera.org just to supplement my skill set and show you guys that I'm serious. And then I said, okay, well, I'm not good at case interviews. So then I said, okay, well, I didn't improve the case interview, but I just did this case competition at school, and I'm really trying hard to improve. Just give me a chance, and I'll show you guys that I can do it. And then for 3 weeks, they didn't say anything. And then 3 weeks later, after they already rejected me, they said, you know what? We like your hustle. We're going to give you a shot. And they gave me the job after they rejected it. The recruiter just saw how passionate I was, and then they found a way to give me an opportunity. So that's the same thing Jide said. Like when he applied for Snapchat, yeah, he got the summer internship, but they don't have a spring internship, right? But he said, I'm going to go and create my own opportunity because I'm not going to settle with what I have. So I think that one thing that I want to make sure that the students who are watching this are hearing is that you do all the work, and then when it doesn't work, you don't just give up. You keep going at it, and you keep that same level of tenacity, and then in the long run, you'll be able to see the results from it. So don't give up during the process.
And thank you for that. It's really important. And though I have friends here who seem so amazing, I really appreciate being the friend who, when things aren't going well, they can tell me things, and I'm like, but I know you're gonna go past it. So tenacity and persistence, especially in a field like tech, especially as a person of color in tech, is absolutely necessary. And so my next question is actually for Kyrie, because some people would be like, you did research and you're at Apple? How did you do that? Tech is moves too
Yeah,
fast for you to be
even
doing
me. That's my
research
question too.
and sitting in a lab and wherever you were at. How do you stay relevant or make yourself relevant in an industry that is known to just quickly change
Yeah.
and always be moving so fast? Can you give us more insight into that and how people from different backgrounds can still make themselves relevant in tech?
Yeah. So with research, all three of my research experiences, it's still they're covering theories and you're using the same tools that are probably used in industry. But when
Mm-hmm.
you're in industry, you just got to use them a lot faster because they're a business and they're trying to run. Um, but essentially the same knowledge base is what you're going to bring to the workspace. So there's things that's on my resume from the research experiences that I have knowledge of that I can talk to, and when I'm conversating with people, I can bring up in the conversation, or we may need to use this approach for this. So essentially, industry is utilizing what researchers are doing. So that's how I was able to stay relevant, um, honestly. But then you just gotta, you're in a faster pace though. You can't spend a week or two reading papers at work. You can't do that. So you got to be able to essentially go what you know and learn quickly and make applications. Try
Yep.
to produce some results from those things.
Right.
And that would probably speak to what everybody was saying. Like, you got to be hungry. You got to go faster than everybody else. Um, I can't work at Apple full time as a researcher. That I would be fired.
So, Kechi, you work at Twitter. Twitter is, of course, something that all of us use on a daily basis. And the firm, though it's big, it's relatively small compared to, the giants of like Google and Facebook and stuff like that.
Right.
So, what surprised you when you got to Twitter? And how are you able to kind of get over that hurdle? Maybe it was the fact that since there's not that many people, that you were doing more work than you expected, or they expected more from you in terms of your skill set. What were some surprises, and how did you get over them on the job?
That's a very interesting question because I'm not sure that there were too many surprises, but I'll give you a start with that too. Um, so yeah, like you said, Twitter is like basically like smaller than a few of the other big companies out there. But no, I was not stressed out doing too much stuff, or teams are not stressed out doing too much stuff because there's not many people. The reason why Twitter is small is not necessarily because like they can't hire more people. In fact, they hired a lot more people this past quarter than ever. Um, it's more about like the use case. Like, is there a need for more people? So it's like there's never a point where like, oh, we need more people. I don't think there's a point where like we need more people and it's like, wow, we use people you have to build that, and then it's like, wow, we don't have a budget for more people. I don't think it's that really. So I think everyone's like doing something that's pretty much like tailored to what they were expected to do, basically. So no surprises in that. Um, but I mean, about my day-to-day experiences at Twitter, what I found surprising really is the senior guys out there are happy to talk to you. They are happy to. It's a very open company. See, I've been to a few companies, and Twitter is by far the most open out of all of them. Where senior engineers will like share the design of what they're working on with you. Like, this is why we chose this design. That you can literally walk up to like any of the teams and ask them why they chose a certain design. Like the database team, why do you choose this database? Why all that stuff? To give you the whole paper. Really, it's a really open company. A lot of opportunities to like grow and learn. Um, Another thing I found quite surprising at Twitter is like relatively not a lot of like black people there. Really like it's really not a lot of us. Like just in engineering alone, I think we're less than 15 black people. Like yeah, in just tech itself. Yeah, um, and yeah, it's just really interesting. So I would love to see where they go with that. But like it's just being like a little different in the whole room. Is sometimes challenging, but you have to know your stuff. When you know your stuff, you go into anywhere boldly, and you don't feel like you don't deserve to be there. Um, you feel like, yeah, I deserve this. I know my stuff. I know just as much as Connor, even though Connor has been programming since he was six. And but you have to know that you have to know your stuff, and you have to be confident and understand that there's always room to learn, and there's always room to also share what you have. Because the more you share what you have, the more you learn yourself, right?
Mhm.
Mm.
Absolutely. So that was actually my next question. What are your experiences as minorities in tech? So not only are you a minority at your firm, but just generally, the world of tech,
Mhm.
there's less women, there's less people of color. And so how have your experience been? How have you leveraged it? Um, so tell us a little bit more about that. Whoever wants to go can go.
I'll
Catchy.
go
Anyway,
first. I'll go
oh,
first on that
yeah,
one because I imagine that Square, Twitter, and Facebook, there's different
Yeah.
minorities there than there is at Apple. So
right.
there's two minorities at Apple. Yeah, color is probably the biggest one, but it's also age, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
There's also age. I'm working with people who have families, right? Who have kids. Like I just graduated in May. I'm like, I'm looking around like, what?
Yeah.
So whatever you seen on Facebook today, Instagram, Twitter, or
Yeah.
Snapchat, they probably didn't see. So that's a big gap. It's a big gap. So it's like now my maturity level has to just has to snap because these people are 30, 40.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
that's not their business.
yeah, and they're about their business. They don't have time to scroll on social media and laugh about whatever you laughed about or whatever. They're not going to get the reference. So that's the biggest minority I feel as though from my experience at Apple. Now, as
Mm.
far as the color, that's I mean that's been an issue that I've been experiencing. For that, they kind of leverage it out because I'm actually in a program where we have early career development at Apple. So we have people who just graduated maybe 2, 3 years ago. So we still have like a younger crowd, but it's not specifically for people of color. So I guess my relationship with that is, everybody in my house is in tech. I have people who are at Dev Color, or I have people I can talk to that are black engineers from my Stanford research experience I did last year. So there's really not much I can do about it at the workplace, but you got to have an outside community. You got to be able to crowdsource, just how we have 3 other people who are in tech right now on this webinar. It's the same thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. But to conclude, there's an age minority and there's a color minority. And that's why I want to speak first because at Facebook and Twitter, the age is probably a
Yeah.
lot it's a lot better. Probably a lot better.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. At Facebook, it's different, right? Everything actually depends on the team that you're on and also the function that you're in, right? So that's something that actually took me by surprise. So I'm a product marketing manager, and more often than not, product marketing managers are actually women. So a lot of people in my role are actually women. So I'm actually the only person. I work on Facebook Marketplace, which is a platform where people can buy and sell on Facebook between each other and from businesses and from local shops. You guys should use it. But like in Facebook Marketplace, right? Like the entire product marketing org, it's like the total org is about 300 people, but all the product marketers are actually women, many of whom have families, but they're still on the younger side. I would probably say like mid 30s and under. So that was a shocker. I think another shocker for me was that when you think about diversity, like oftentimes, like as of like I'm from Senegal, like I'm black. That's like your understanding of diversity, but like there's tons of ethnic and racial diversity as well. So there's a ton of people who are Indian, a ton of people who are South Asian, a ton of people who are East Asian. So that was something that kind of took me by surprise as well. Like my core team actually, like I support buy sell groups. Almost the entire team is actually Indian and Asian. So that kind of took me by surprise. And the team is also on the younger side. So I'm often in rooms. I'm often the only, like if I'm in a marketing meeting, I'll probably be one of the only males. I'm always I think the only black person. I think that out of the entire Facebook org, I think there are like maybe three of us in there, which is a unique experience as well. But kind of like how Kyrie said, in those moments where you realize that, hey, you're a minority, like you have to realize that one, that's actually going to be the norm. I think in any corporate environment that you go to, so you have to prepare yourself for that mentally and culturally, because it brings with it different benefits and different challenges because you get a chance to grow and see new things. But then I think like also you just have to have your support network, and that was something that I had to learn in the past 4 months of working at Facebook. It's just like you have to make sure that you stay close to the people, to your tribe. So people like Diana, people who are in these same spaces, who are going through the same things. It's okay to rely on them, and realize that new opportunities bring with them new challenges. So just having your core group of people is always going to be essential.
Exactly.
Great, great. I'll take a stab at that question about being a minority in tech. See, my perspective is a bit different because like there are all these groups out there. I heard about like 2014 and even popular ones like Nesby and all that. Like now, these are very important for you because like they give you resources. Like basically, you go out there, you get a feel of what like employers kind of like want to hear, or what they want to see, or the skills you're looking for. Even if you get rejected 1,000 times, you have some perspective into what they're looking for. Um, when you go to these recruiting events too, you get a chance to talk to them yourself, so you understand what it means to be under pressure, talking to somebody about yourself, about what you want to do with them and for them. Um, but the perspective I have, like I did not go to those conferences per se or go into any of those programs because I wanted to do it by myself, if that makes any sense. Like, so I did more of oh, I want to be a software engineer. What do software engineers do? They solve problems, and they hopefully want to be like a great one, so contribute to open source and stuff like that. So what I did was do a lot of work by myself, you know. Um, when it came to like applying and stuff, instead of going through the NSP route or going through like all these other things, which are actually very helpful and actually the best way for a lot of people to like meet other people like yourself. But I went through LinkedIn. So cold emailing and cold messaging recruiters, basically letting them know about what I wanted to do and sharing my resume just freely, really. Um, why I did that was because like you want to get into a company, and for me, I like to feel like I got into this company because I deserved to get into this company, not because they went to a program, which people are in that program also deserve to be there, but it's a program still, you know. For instance, a lot of companies like are done recruiting like by February for full-time positions. Nesby happens like March or April sometimes, I don't know. And then people still get offers for the companies that had stopped recruiting like months before at Nesby. It's like, I thought there were no positions open. How are these people getting jobs? So like for me it was like I want to get that job like in January. Like I want to know that I worked hard for this stuff, right? But it's risky, I would admit, because then it's true that like when you put yourself in the open pool with everybody else, you get less of a chance to show yourself. Now, programs like Nesby and programs like Code 2040 and all these other programs are there to like give visibility into black people. Now, a lot of times people think that it's just like, oh, they're just handing out people jobs. No, they're not handing people out. They're not handing jobs out to black people. It's giving visibility because they will still interview you. Um, and if you're not quite up to par, they would not quite give you the job. I mean, sometimes they do to give you a trial, but like a lot of times, like they no, we're not hiring you. It doesn't matter, you know. But putting myself in that box where I did not give myself opportunities was put more pressure on me to like know more stuff, to do more stuff, to go hardcore. And you know, you talk about like Malik and GD talked about extra preparation and all that, like spending a lot of time like hitting hard on like your presentation and all that stuff. For me, it was like questions, HackerRank,
Mm.
um, open source stuff, like just coding and coding and coding. In fact, it was less about the grades. My own path was less about the grades. It was more about what I could do and more about problem solving for me. So like I spent a lot of time, especially like um, So basically, one story about me too is that I was very specialized. So in my freshman year, my sophomore year, I was like, wow, yeah, I mean, I want to be a software engineer, but I want to understand the core of computers. So I went really low level. I was into computer engineering, electrical and computer engineering. So like I was programming in C, C++, and stuff like that. I was really never the Java guy and the Python guy or the JavaScript guy, really. I was like, I want to understand how computers really work, like bare metal, really. So like that made it a bit different because a lot of people who are getting into the industry want to get into this high level stuff. I want to build an app. I want to write something in JavaScript. I want to write something in Python, but I was very low. So that helped me create a little niche for myself. So I interned at like Samsung initially, then Intel, doing very, very low level stuff, more computer engineering stuff than software. Then I moved up the stack a little to writing stuff in a Java compiler and stuff like that. Um, a lot of people like us doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I
Most
did
people
that.
like us are doing, yeah, most people like us are doing like Android and web and stuff like that. So that helped me create a little niche on my portfolio for myself. Now moving into Twitter, I was like, wow, I love distributed systems really. So like when it was time for full time, I was like, well, given my experience writing high level stuff and low level stuff and understanding the context of how things fit together, I really want to be a distributed systems like engineer because everything so here about microservices today, it's all distributed systems basically. So there's a high demand for people like who are in that field. So I created an issue like I want to be a distributed systems programmer and I tailored my resume towards that. And one thing I would advise you is like a lot of people will tell you things like, wow, be very, very, very diverse and it's just about getting a job. I'll tell you what, from my perspective, it's a career. You want to be happy going to work. You want to go to work and feel like, yeah, I'm going to work and I'm going to be happy today. It's going to be another great day. Um, you don't just go begging for a job. You just don't take anything they give to you, really. Like you say what you want. Like this is what I want to do with my career. This is what I want to do for a living, and then you do it because it's your life, and you're going to go to that job every day, really. So if you don't like programming Android, or if you don't like doing that, like, why would you just go do it because you can do it? No, that's not going to bring you satisfaction, really. So it was a lot harder getting into like positions where like they would trust like a new engineer, like with distributed systems and stuff. Usually, it's people who come into the company and then move into those roles. Well, because of my experience and like interviewing and all that stuff, like I got into that role, but it was good because at the same time I was able to create a little niche for myself where a lot of new guys were not going into. A lot of new guys were not going into that, so they were interested in why I was going into that, and then they tailored the interview questions and the experience towards distributed systems and stuff like that, which was really cool. And that's what a lot of top companies do too. Um, so I got quite some luck with that. So I'll just advise you, like really, like you're a minority in tech and stuff. Create a niche for yourself. Create something for yourself that you love, not just because you have to create one. Something that you love to do. Be insistent about it. Really, don't just act like, yeah, well, please give me something. No, you get what you deserve. You work hard to get what you deserve. You get into that space and get what's yours, really. Um, and another thing I would say is that like diversity is great, but no company has to hire you. You don't deserve a job because you are a minority. You deserve a job because you're a minority who knows what you're doing. Right. Great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Claps on that one. That's a word. G-Day,
Thank you,
would you have
baby.
anything else to add?
I think for me, I've reaped a lot more benefits than cons from being a minority in tech. Just, I think, but that just comes at that's a corollary to the fact that I do, as you've mentioned, you and Malik mentioned leaning on people, like people in this webinar. I don't hesitate to let people who have done what I've done or doing what I'm doing, let them know about my success or failures, because the right people, you let the right people know, they'll give you the right insight, advice, or at least just mere encouragement. Um, so the benefits that I've had is specifically number one, just the peer network, right? Uh, and I think number two then is just uh, like I think I had mentioned this earlier. They want us, and I think Malik mentioned this too. Like the companies are shifting towards like being minority is they're trying to make it the norm. And so, oh, did I? Sorry, yeah. And so I feel like because they're trying to make it the norm, and then going to what Ikechi said, that like if you know your stuff, that's the number one thing. And like I just believe that I've been blessed enough to been trained very well in computer science to the degree where like, you know, they can tell I know my stuff and they're surprised. And they're just they're going to be surprised, and you can't let that surprise take you back, because then you'll start overthinking. Why are you surprised? Like, of course I'm here at the interview. I'm at this company, but they're surprised, and then they just start giving you more and more attention. Before you know it, like all of a sudden, it's like you left and right at the place of your work that like, you know, I don't know if it's just a level of more expectation of you, or like I don't know. I feel like because of how you look, sometimes the expectation for what your job description is here, but their perception is they think you're going to get here and they'll be satisfied with this. So when you meet here as you're supposed to, they're like, wow, wow, wow. So then they, just do what you have to do, and like you just organically become like, favored at the company, highly favored. They start favoring, they start having a liking for you just because you're doing what you're supposed to do. For some crazy reason, they don't expect you to. And it's like, okay, I promise you, I don't have to do anything more than Connor. But the difference between me and Connor, that they don't expect Connor to. They think Connor's gonna get here. They don't think they think I'm gonna get here, so they say, okay, your project will do this. So when I do this, or even more than Connor, because of course I will try. They're like, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
You hired me. Of course I'm going to meet the bar.
Yep.
So that's how my experience has been, They don't, or then again, it's also the issue with like, I guess the negative that do come is I don't look like a quintessential software engineer, I don't want to disrespect anybody, but many of my peers, they walk around with their neck like this and their back like this and their hand like this. And that's because this is the position you make when you're coding, right? Your neck is looking at the screen, but their neck has always been like this, that they walk around like this, and like I'm walking like, with my chest out, like I'm big boss, like I run things. Like I come with this sort of zeal or confidence, like, and I let them know I am going to do this, and maybe I shouldn't be moving like that sometimes, but I don't know if it's the Nigerian Igbo man in me that like I let them know I'm going to meet the bar, and I do it, and they're surprised because I said I'm going to do it, but it's weird, right? Like you expect me to meet a bar, I tell you I'm gonna meet a bar, and so I come across as not your average engineer, because most engineers aren't at least most don't have this very I don't know. This sort of exude this confidence to this degree. They just do it. Most engineers are just doers. They just do it. Me, I do a lot of talking. Maybe that's a con of me, but I do a lot of talking and a lot of doing. So I tend to back up what I say. But I don't say what I don't know I'm not going to do.
Right.
So that's why I talk a lot, because I know I'm going to do it. But then I
think what that does for you,
what happened?
I think what that does for you, Jude, is that like when you talk about doing something, then there's extra pressure on you to better deliver.
And
Like
have
you
to do it now.
you better do what you said you do, fam. Or else they're like, don't listen to him next time. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. And so
Yep.
somebody here mentioned they put pressure on themselves. I do that intentionally to put that pressure on myself. It's kind of like, for example, a lot of my friends want to go to Costa Rica. Me, I haven't been to Nigeria since like 2005. My passport's expired. And my friends are saying, oh, well, you can just renew your passport or buy the ticket now, and then you're forced to renew your passport. Because then, like, there's no way you're going to let that money go to waste. So I kind of do certain things or set expectations for myself. Of course, you don't have to be so gregarious like me and, like, say it to the whole world. Tell your peers, leverage your peers. That goes back to the benefits of being a minority. Like, find peers that are not playing this crabs in the barrel game, trying to like, oh, who is better than who.
Yep.
Find the peers who, like, when they see you're doing something better than them, they teach you.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ikechi, is doing distributed systems. I am taking distributed systems this semester. I swear by I just learned through this webinar that he's doing distributed systems. I can show you all my class schedule. I'm taking distributed systems, blockchain, which is premised on distributed systems, and a class called cybersecurity. It all ties together for my master's program. Look, he chose not to do the master's, but guess what? He's working on it full time. The same shit I'm just learning at school.
Yeah.
Like, and now I can just reach out to him and be like, yo, help me. I don't understand remote procedure call. All I know these buzzwords, but help me. Tell me where to go. And I know he won't say, oh, look at this small boy. He doesn't know what to do. Like, he won't belittle me because the fact that he's here today at this webinar for 1 hour on a Saturday. He's an engineer. Look at his watch. He got time to be doing other stuff. You know what I'm saying? He has money now. Like, he doesn't have to sit here implying that he will sit there for at least 10 minutes and respond to my text. He got to. Even if he responds 1 month later. The fact that he responded is like, I'm just leveraging people around me.
Honestly,
being completely honest.
so good.
He's being completely honest. He's being completely honest.
Can I double click into something too?
Engineers on a Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
This is when you're supposed to do what you wanted to do the entire week, probably.
Yep.
Look at my shirt.
About deep neural net.
This says HAB. I'm supposed to be at a hackathon right now, and I left the hackathon to come down to sit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we do shit for fun. Like, I'm trying to win money now. The hackathon's to win money. But like, when I meet people like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, who are sitting down talking, we're trying to help people. Oh yeah, you know, these are the people that tell like when you're winning and when you're losing, and they'll be happy. They'll clap for you when you're winning, and when you're losing, it's not like they'll ignore you. They'll be like, all right, go talk to this person, or they'll tell you what they know.
Yep.
Exactly.
So that's it.
Can we double click?
1
Yeah, I
second.
want to double
We actually
click.
have some
Go ahead,
questions.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure we get these questions done because we're a little over time, but I'm here to stay if y'all are here to stay. So a question came about really what are the skills and what should they be doing that even regardless if there's a lot of opportunities or they get the opportunity that they want, that they are growing and that they're making themselves more valuable and more lucrative to all of these tech companies. So I will give one person that question. And then the second question is, do you see yourselves in the same company a few years from now? And what role do you see yourself in? And how are you preparing for your next move? So that's a really good question. And what has been the best resource that has helped you in your personal and professional development? And so I will give what has been the best resource that has helped you in your personal professional development to Malik. I will give the do you see yourselves in the same company a few years from now? And how are you preparing for your next move? I will split that between Malik and Kyrie. And then I will do the last one of developing yourselves regardless of whether the fact that you're in the firm you want to be or the role you want to be to Ikechi.
I guess I'll start off with the most valuable resource. It's actually so simple, but it's Google.com, everybody.
Hallelujah!
Come on,
honestly,
guys.
there's a plug for Google right now.
Yeah. I almost worked for you guys, but maybe next time, Google. But no. Seriously, Google is the best resource ever. Like the internet, like the Fairly Odd Parents. Anytime they ask Timmy, he'd say, the internet. The internet has been my best friend. Like YouTube University is my best friend. So anytime I'm looking for new opportunities, new things to grow, I literally just go to Google. What does a product marketing manager at Facebook do? And then I go until I find a podcast. You know what I mean? Like one podcast, like this is something I would encourage you guys to write down. I recommend this to everyone who's exploring new careers. It's a podcast called Learn, Educate, Discover by Sonali Mungal. She's a Wharton grad of University of Pennsylvania.
I hope y'all taking notes. Learn,
yeah, you guys better be taking notes. Yeah, it's called Learn, Educate, Discover, LED by Sonali Mungal. And so she's a Wharton grad, and what she does is she actually interviews people who have done a multitude of things, from product marketing to brand strategy to advertising, to people who are professional monks, or people who are mountain climbers. And she asks them the hard hitting questions about, why did you choose this job? How did you get here? What experiences helped you excel, and where do you plan to go from here? So it's an amazing resource to help you explore different career paths. But anytime I'm curious, I go to YouTube. I watch these webinars. Like if I was in college, I'd be watching this webinar. And then I go deeper. I'm taking notes on everything. And then LinkedIn is another great resource as well. Like I said, doing the cold emailing. I mean, I cannot stress that enough. Like even if you don't have anyone from your alma mater, I will literally, if I know that I want to be doing like Twitter, I'd literally write down information. I'd go track him down on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and I'd hit him up on every single platform and then follow up every 2 weeks, or every month until I got an answer, So I'm the type of guy where I'll literally just use these social networks that we have, Google and YouTube, and I would just keep digging until I find something. So you guys, don't make it complicated. Everything that you need is actually right there. Like you don't need to do anything crazy. All you have to be doing is be willing to just sit in front of the computer and not leave until you find the answers that you want to find. And that's one of the biggest benefits of living in today's generation. Like there's no excuse for those people who are watching this webinar to not find a way to get in touch with me, Kyrie, Jide, and Diana, right? Like that's how you have to be thinking. Like all you need is right in front of you. All you have to be willing to do is just put in the little effort. And even if you don't hear back from me, or you don't hear back from somebody, you just continue to follow up. You continue to follow up.
You got to keep bugging us because we all busy.
Yep. So yeah, just the internet, YouTube, Google, and then that podcast. Yeah. That podcast is a great plug though, guys. So definitely make sure you check that out.
Yes, I put it in the comments, so click the link.
Yay.
So,
Oh, and I guess I could answer the same. Should I answer the question as well about the what do we do after? Because you said like, what am I going to be doing in the next 2 years? Like, how do I see myself?
You actually have another question, so I will let you answer that one. Someone asked, Molly, communication challenges are one of the top factors that cause company synergies to fail. How are you going to deal with the planned integration of Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp as a product marketing manager? Okay, interview.
Okay, it's an interesting question.
Yeah. Honey, that is strategy for 2019.
Right. So I mean, so it's a multifaceted thing. On one end, Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram are already quote unquote integrated in the sense that like, Facebook Inc. is the family company that owns all of those companies. And right now we're operating separately. So like, although the Instagram building is right across the courtyard from me, like we work in silos. So, the only time we sync up is if we're launching the same things or similar features. We just want to make sure that the Facebook Inc. brand is maintained. But right now, like Facebook is going through a lot of challenges. And so we're trying to figure out how can we really like change the narrative and really truly define our voice. So I think that for Facebook in the future, the biggest challenge is going to be just figuring out like defining our identity. Who is Facebook? What is Facebook Inc.? What do we stand for? And just making sure that the world knows whose we are, because up until now, everybody has just kind of used Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp as like a fact of life, not truly thinking about like who are these companies. It's like, oh, it's a cool app, but you don't know like all the amazing things that you could do on Facebook, like from Facebook groups to Facebook pages to charitable giving to Giving Tuesday to Facebook Marketplace. I mean, there's so many different features. Like the challenge is like taking all these amazing things and like creating one simple narrative that everybody can understand. Like, and for Facebook, like the Blue app, as we like to call it, it's just like connecting the world and empowering people to create community. So it's just about how do we really bring those messages together. It's going to be a big challenge, one that, the marketing department is going to be very hard at work at. We just brought in a new CMO, Antonio Lucio, who's an amazing guy, and so we're really investing heavily. So expect to see some good stuff. And of course, always caveat that my opinions are my opinions alone and do not represent the company. Definitely got to
Good
be
job.
transparent there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the point about like Facebook and like the future of the company coming together. And just to briefly speak on where do I see myself, um, I would say that if like the way to think about that question, the former CEO, I think he's the CEO of actually like the new merged company of like Time Warner, Verizon, AOL, Yahoo, like they all merged or something like that. But I was listening to an interview with him on another podcast that's actually called Success: How I Did It by Bloomberg, and he was actually an early guy at Google, and then he eventually decided to leave Google and go to take over AOL. And AOL now is like this archaic company. They're kind of like symbolic of like, Web 1.0, like they're not hip and trendy anymore. So why would he leave like the big and bad Google to go there? Well, the way he defines his career moves is that he wants to be in a position where he's learning exponentially, right? As long as he's in a position where every day he's learning exponential amounts of new things and he's being challenged in new ways, then he's going to stay in that role. That's like the only litmus test of whether or not you should stay where you are. How much and how rapidly are you learning and how much are you being challenged? Right now, I am being challenged like I've never been challenged before, and it's great. Like I'm being forced to learn new things from a professionalism standpoint, corporate communication standpoint, managing relationships, working with different cross-functional partners. It's like it's so there's so much learning that's going on. Sometimes I walk into meetings and I don't know what's going on in the meeting, and that's a good sign to me because it lets me know that I have so much room to grow. So that's how I determine whether or not I'm going to stay with a company. And then of course the also is like, is what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis aligned with where I want to be in my life? Like I think Akechi earlier on mentioned that you want to build a career and do something that you like. I would also even push that a level further and say you want to do something that has meaning, right? So like I'm building a skill set that's meaningful to me in terms of who do I see myself becoming in the future and the value that I want to give to the world. And right now I'm getting that experience and I'm learning at that rate with Facebook. And so, I want to continue. But, you know, I think that like one of my roommates, she works at Salesforce and she was with a senior executive there. And she was saying that like, no, it's actually my roommate who works at Google was talking about Tristan Walker, the founder and CEO of Bevel in Code 2040, he talks about you should not be loyal to a company. A company is an entity because at the end of the day, when times get hard, the companies are going to do what's best for the business. And it's not going to matter how nice of a person you are. So that's not to make anybody jaded or pessimistic, but it's to understand that all of this is business. Build your experiences, make sure you're learning, make sure you're aligned and you're doing the things that are going to help you grow. But as far as your loyalty to a company, if this is the company that you love and you align with their mission and their vision, go all in. But don't be so naive as to think that just because people are nice and the company is nice that, you're immune to tough times.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think she's muted. Diana, could you repeat the question I have again so I can answer?
Oh, yes, of course. So it was, I don't even remember how I split it up, but
It was the one where it was asking if I was going, how long do I plan on staying at the company?
yes. So
And then,
sorry, not that one. It is, do you see yourself in the same company in a few years from now? And what role do you see yourself in, and how are you preparing for your next move?
yeah. So I do see myself long term at Apple simply because back to what Malik was speaking about, their mission and their brand and what they stand for in the tech industry, I feel like is necessary to have this kind of dichotomy or balance between different companies, large entities in the space. Um, so I feel like the Apple brand and the Apple values is something I would stand for if I started an organization. Um, they're a standard for how I would mimic a company if I started one. But at the same time, not getting lost in the entity as well, because if there's tough times, it doesn't matter how strongly you believe in the mission or the values, they may have to eventually let you go. So you got to understand it's a give and take relationship between you and the entity or the organization. I do, so like I said, simple and plain for the first part of the question, I do plan on being here long term. I do want to move to the space to where we deliver that surprise and delight. So every time a product comes out, people love what we release. And that's in the DNA. It's our innovation. That's what keeps Apple relevant, because we keep changing and we keep bringing it to the mass market. Starting from the iPhone and building upon that. So that's kind of where I want to move towards. Now, what I'm doing in my own time to do that is I'm actually going through the process of being a startup. So I'm actually doing like customer discovery, tapping into a lot of resources like business model generation, customer profiles, the startup owner manual, Steve Blank. Like these are people that are pioneers in these space. So I actually incorporated LLC. I got my stuff from LegalZoom. So essentially what I'm doing in my own time is building up those innovative products on my own to build that portfolio up while I'm inside of Apple. And then that way I can leverage to be a part of that prototyping. We're building this new Apple device and it's coming out. Because that's inspired by Apple. Because what happened?
I said always being a step ahead.
Yeah, so that's what they found themselves on, and really they're a step ahead in this the right way. So you can think about, I would also like Tesla as well, because it's a step ahead in this the right way. So companies that do that, I'm very attracted to. And like we said, like when he saw Jack Dorsey, we all breathe the same air. So Elon Musk, Tim Cook, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, they had the same access to information we have. So I see us on level playing fields. It's just their experiences, which have had a lot more results. So I'm trying to essentially merge the two, innovation and then creating it, and that's it.
They had time too.
Yeah.
We were all still under. We all still under 30. We could all still be on Forbes 30 under 30.
Yeah.
So they had time.
Yeah.
Can you imagine 10 years from now? Oh my God.
Yeah. Exactly.
Look. Don't get me excited now, brother.
That's what we really talk. Catch you. That's
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
What was it, Catchy?
That was the same question to Ketchy. I think so.
Okay. So being African, my perspective is a bit different. While I'm very loyal to doing my job, which currently is working for my company, there are also things that are deep rooted inside of me. Like I come from a country that needs, just sort of like a brain drain, basically, where we have people who are really smart, like going out of the country and coming here and doing big things and making the GDP of this country even better. I mean, I've got a country too, So for me, my interests lie basically in making my country very relevant in the world, having us not rely on other people for a lot of our things, being us more independent, less dependent on the so-called Western world, and basically structuring us for a successful future in tech. So, for instance, one advantage I think we have as African countries that are not yet very developed is that we have the opportunity to look at the effect of this fast developments on the Western world and learn from them. We have seen like tech bloom. We have seen the finance, the markets and everything just like go crazy. We who are a bit behind in tech in the world have the opportunity to not just copy and paste what the Western world has done, really, but to take learning points from them. One such thing would be like the psychology of tech on the human mind. If we can start teaching little kids about the effect of tech on mind and all that stuff, that helps us not create a society that's too individualistic. We create a society where we all think that it's just we and our like tech. I feel like one of the things that makes us unique as Africans, basically, too, is the whole idea of communalism, and sharing things together and being like a family, and preserving that through tech, preserving that through the pressures of the market and all that. Like being able to like integrate that into our society, like we have that opportunity still because we are not very mature in that space yet. So we have that chance. That's why I think we have an edge. That's why I think the future belongs to us, basically. So I have interests in developing that in Nigeria and Africa as a whole too. I actually have a startup which is still in stealth mode, which I hope to launch in the coming weeks, stroke months. But it's geared towards like all of that stuff, basically. And I was going to actually contact Jide, since he's also Nigerian, like me, and talk about what we can do to work together on that. But yeah, my interest to answer your question, So to answer your question, do I see? I'm sorry.
I said Nigerians always want to do stuff together.
Right.
Y'all not communal as y'all thought.
I mean, I mean,
Shout
but
out to
like,
Ghana and Senegal.
well, I would say there is you see, our interests are very different. So I would say like your interests should basically be centered around what, again, like I said before, what you love, and what Malik said too, what makes sense, what is going to bring some sort of like meaning to the world. I will merge those two together. I imagine that you'd be happy. Um, so it doesn't matter where you work, really. Like I, from the very first day, never thought that I owed the company anything. I owe the company my work. I owe the company my time. I owe the company what the company pays me for and what's in my contract. I do not owe them my life. And your career is your life, basically. It shapes up your whole mental space. It shapes up everything in your life. So if you are letting your company affect your own life, then maybe not. Don't do that. You know, really. So yeah, that's my answer to that.
Ide, I truly do not recall the question that was
I
that
have
for
a question.
you. Um,
At time, hit
what'd
time
you
at
say?
1 hour. But I don't think I had a question. We just distributed them to three other people because
Oh,
for the
okay.
time, because we already ran over an hour.
Yeah, we're far beyond an hour. But thank you all, these amazing men. We are so thankful for each and every one of you for coming on, giving your experiences, being funny. We created community on this webinar. And so I'm so excited. Lastly, we are going to be having another webinar in the upcoming week, so stay tuned. And definitely follow and like the Yielding Accomplished African Women page as we create the next generation of female developers and people in finance and business. So thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you guys for our panelists. You guys are amazing.
Thank you for having
Can I
me.
leave you guys with one thing to the people watching?
Yes.
One thing that I love, it's a quote from Jim Rohn. Shout out to my father for putting me onto Jim Rohn. It's don't be a follower, be a student. So don't just sit here and take everything that Kyrie, Jide, and Ikechi and I have said and say this is law, this is the only way to do it. We're just sharing our experiences, our perspectives with you. All of us have different backgrounds, we have different visions. Take it all in. You see what makes sense. If you hear something you don't recognize, like Inroads or MLT or all these programs, write it down, look it up, do your own research, and find out for yourself. So be a student, take it in, but you make your own decisions. We just want to empower you guys to just be brave and just like do what you believe is right for you, and know that you can always change that. So the world is yours.
Yes. Thank y'all. Bye.
Alrighty.
All right,
Bye,
bye.
everybody.
Connect back with me on LinkedIn. I already LinkedIn. I connected with Elia.
Okay, so we're off of Facebook Live now, so we're just
Okay.
on the
Oh,
call.
cool.
All right.
Let me
I
stop
already
recording.
I already set my